Alabama won its 6th national championship of the Nick Saban era, routing Ohio State 52-24. And among the different things I saw in reaction was a tweet from Chris Felica. You all know him as the Bear from College Game Day if you watch him there. He's an outstanding researcher at ESPN. And he tweeted this: there have been 21 games played in the CFP. 17 of them have been won by Alabama, Clemson, or Ohio State. He then goes on to talk about the possibilities of expanding the playoff, but that was really the part of this I wanted to focus on, and I take a look at that, because think about that. Alabama, Clemson, or Ohio State have won 17 of the 21 all-time games in the playoffs. Now you fast forward. Caesars Sportsbook by William Hill. The early odds are out for next season. This should come as no surprise. Look at the top. The favorites are Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State. So I want to bring Rece Davis and Paul Finebaum in because you guys cover this sport and you love it, and I love it too. And I want to pose like a two-part question to you, Rece Davis. Do we perceive the top heaviness of the sport right now to be a problem? And if so, what could fix it?
The second part is really difficult. I think it is a problem in terms of interest right now because there are fan bases who feel as if they don't have a chance. However, the solution, first and foremost, is to find a way to beat these teams. Now, how do you go about doing that? It's easy to say to get better, but there are many who say it is a self-fulfilling prophecy by virtue of the fact of what you just pointed out. 17 of the 21 games won by those three teams. 20 of the 28 bids all time have been taken by 4 teams: Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, and Ohio State. So you tell recruits that if you want to win a national championship and go to the playoff, you have to go to those schools, and there's evidence to support that. So how do you get other teams to break through? Some of it will happen naturally over time with the cyclical nature, but we might need to expedite it a little bit. I'm not a big proponent of just expanding the playoff in its current form. You'd have to change the structure. You'd have to change divisions within conferences because that could give you some significant unintended consequences if you go with the automatic bids that everybody talks about. So it would take a total overhaul of the structure of how conferences go about their business, leading into how you would select those teams. And by the way, I still believe that having a committee is better than having a formula. So it would entail an overall structure change in the playoff and just some more aggressive, I guess, recruiting if you're willing to stomach that to be able to get some of these other programs on equal footing.
What do you think, Paul?
There's a simple solution, Greeny. Every school in the country that wants to be competitive, kick in about $10 million and then go to Nick Saban, get down on your knees and beg him to retire. He is the problem with college football right now. Greeny, I think, seriously, the only way to even have a chance to make this better is to expand the playoff. That's not a guarantee, though, as Rece said. What you do then, by adding 4 more teams, you help them in recruiting. Right now, players want to go to playoff teams. They don't want to go to somebody playing in some off-brand bowl before New Year's Day. So that is really about it right now. I think it will be expanded in a couple of years, though.
I remember at the height of the time that UConn was dominating women's basketball with Gino Auriemma as the coach in a way that people were suggesting it was bad for the sport. And Rece, I asked Gino about that one time on Mike and Mike, and he said, if it's bad for the sport, the answer is not us getting worse, it's everyone else getting better. Is that similar here?
Yes, and he's exactly right, because I do get annoyed with people who say, well, I don't want to see Alabama and Clemson again. I don't want to see Alabama and Ohio State. Since when do we get tired of excellence? There's a good thing about shooting for the king, right? Everybody remembers virtually every game Alabama's lost for the last 14 years. You can recite it by chapter and verse. It's sort of like going after the Yankees in the old days in the baseball. When you toppled the Yankees, everybody remembered it. And I think there are some good things about it, but Gino's right. The first thing, and Paul and I can come up with ideas, and I've floated an idea about if you're going to restructure everything, move. You want to include the bowl games, you got to move them back to mid-December and then select the teams after that, because I don't like the long gap and then selecting them after the bowls. But, it's okay to be excellent. Gino was in women's basketball, and Nick and Dabo, and though Ryan Day hasn't won one himself yet, Ohio State is at that level as well. It's okay to be excellent, and everybody has to find a way to catch them.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.